Hi there, I'm Richard from EVs and Beyond, and behind me is a volcano, and over there is a BYD Atto 3. Now what's it doing here? Well, we're on a really big, epic road trip. We've just picked up the car yesterday and we're trying to see what it can do. So stay with us for the whole trip, but I'm going to rewind now back to the start, where it was very dark last night and we got underway from Mangawhai in Northland. Future Richard's probably told you what's happening. Now it's pretty late in the evening here. It's 7:54, going on 8 o'clock. And we've got quite a bit of distance to cover. We're up here in Mangawhai, sitting in my driveway. I'd film outside, but it's utterly pitch black. There's no moon tonight, so it's a bit pointless. But our first stop is going to be Bombay through Auckland, because we're not leaving with 100% charge. We're actually leaving with 68%. We picked up the car today with 100%, drove up here via Albany. It's about 120 kilometres from the dealership to here. And now we're going to head back down. I didn't want to charge up here because we just weren't here long enough, and a bit of a waste of time. And it gives us a little bit of a chance to see what's going on with the charging speed on the car. One thing I know is, look, we're not going to do a big how much can we go in one run today. We're going to focus on getting there efficiently, and maybe tomorrow, once I get a little more of a feel for the car, we will see what we can do in regards to distance. The lights are fine. They have a little bit of a crisp throw on low beam, but when the auto high beam kicks in, and the auto high beam works really reliably, it has a really good throw. I mean, just look at that. That's so well lit up there through the thing. Yeah, a little bit ragged around the edges as far as the shape of the light goes, but really nothing to worry about. Right, so we got here after far too long because every motorway either side of Auckland is closed, but we've made it. The car likes to talk to you. As I'm learning, we'll probably go through that a little bit more during the week. So where are we at? So the car is now at 70% left, so we've used my mass 83% battery. For that, we've gone about 260 kilometres of fairly hard driving, and I've had the air conditioning running and the heat on and all that kind of stuff. So that's not bad. We're running at, if I look in the window, about 18 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres. Yeah, we could do better. We will do better on this trip, but for now I'm just enjoying the drive. But we're at the ChargeNet hyperchargers here in Bombay. We're going to plug in, see how fast it charges, if I can work out how to open it. There we go. Right, so we're all plugged in and we're starting to charge. We haven't got a speed coming up as yet, but we'll go and, oh wait, I'm hearing something. There we go. So straight up to 84, 85 kilowatts. Wow, that is impressive. That goes kind of straight to speed. Now I know, look, the car doesn't have the highest charging speed around, but the fact that it just jumps straight there, there's been no preconditioning, you know, the battery's not exactly empty, that is really cool. 86. Now remember, people, this is a car where you sold it as being charging at up to 80 kilowatts of speed, and it's already jumping up to 86. Now if you read and followed some of earlier stories, you would have seen that. We received the graphs from BYD showing what the charger would do. And yeah, it's, if I go back in here, this thing charges super quick for what it should, 86 kilowatts. So I guess we'll see how long that lasts, and how long it's saying, an hour to full, or 15 minutes to full. I don't need that long. We're going to go to Taupo for here. I probably would like to get about 80%. So let's see how we go. Right, so we have finally seen a drop in charging. We're just over 50%, and the charging, if I flick this around, the car has dropped down to 58.3. So not a drastic drop, and you know, it's my old theory, as long as we're charging above 50 kilowatts, which is what the other chargers are down country, we might as well keep charging here. You know, we could theoretically, if there were more hyperchargers, bounce along the faster rates, but at that kind of price, it's yeah, sorry, that kind of charge rate, it's fine. So just a little bit of a, while we were here for a second, bit of a look through the screen, which has been going pretty well. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do in here yet other than your phone, and you've got your cameras and all that kind of thing. We've been doing some of the, definitely an Android phone software. We've been using some clips that you've probably seen on the system. On the video. Yeah, look, it works pretty well. It's nice and responsive. You've got, all sorts of tricky cameras you can look at. Settings for everything. I think there's going to take a lot of learning, I think, in working everything out on this thing. And there'll be lots of stuff they're going to change as they go. Yeah, even the music system works pretty well. I better not play that, or someone will copyright strike me. Yeah, it's a pretty decent system. Bit of room to go. I've noticed it does have the the data connection that's often talked about. It's got the information about that, but I'm not entirely sure what you're going to use data for at this stage. The other interesting thing is we've got the PM 2.5 figures up here. Now, I know people were wondering what the heck they were and suggesting that it was actually that the temperature was broken. It's not the temperature being broken. I thought that at first and had myself when I was corrected. It's actually air quality. So yeah, the temperature is only shown on the screen in front of you. Right, so we are still charging and we're just hitting 80%, and we've actually seen a slight gain in speed. We are ticking along at 60 kilowatts at 79%. Be interesting to see what happens when it goes past 80%, but so far I'm just amazed at how fast this car is charging. Now sure, it is not Tesla territory, it's not in the same vein as some of the other newer European things that are coming onto the market. But considering what they promised and the price band, it's just nuts that is charging so well. Right, so the time has come. The charging at 85 has dropped down to 32, which is pretty good because when you're driving an MG like I'm used to, you spend quite a bit of time charging at that speed. But for us, well for me, I'm alone, don't know what I'm saying for us, that is enough to get going. And I'm going to head off now down to Taupo. Right, so we are scooting along at 109, 110 kilometers an hour on the cruise control system, which is a very good cruise control system and very good lane keeping system as well. Look, it's not autopilot, but it's up there with the best Europeans. A little bit perhaps sensitive on the lane keep, but that I guess can be on the warnings, but that I guess can be dialed out, and I haven't really had a chance to spend too much time and go through the system. But the interesting thing about what we're up to here is that we're going on the Waikato Expressway, which of course is now 110 kilometres all the way from I think Rangariri right through to Cambridge, or at least for large chunks of it. Now what's that doing for consumption? Well, it is hitting consumption. Now that's because I'm choosing to drive at that new speed limit. But we've gone from, ticking along at that 17, 18 level to about 24 kilowatt hours, I think, if I look at the immediate consumption. Be interesting to see what it's going to have done to the overall by the time we get through it. But you've got a real balance there in that this is a pretty efficient straight route, but you're going faster, so you're going to get there quicker, but you're going to burn more power. Right, so good morning from my hotel here on the, not quite shores, but up in the hill above Lake Taupo. So, what a cool drive last night. It was such a neat run down in that BYD Atto 3. I've certainly got a few notes, just so we know. I'm not sure if I said it last night. We arrived in with 2% battery and about 11, 12 kilometres on the guessometer. I wasn't panicking at all because I'd done that run before, and it was very cold. There's a very big elevation. I think we peaked out at about 650 metres or something up on that drive. But the range was really steady. I kind of felt like we could make it no matter what. And I had bailout points, so I could have stopped at the Wairiki Resort and charged there if I'd had to. But I wanted to get to bed. It was getting fairly late, and I figured it was a safe thing to do to run on through on that low battery. So yeah, look, my notes already. The car is just really comfortable to drive long distances. Felt super refreshed, and I could have gone further, even though it was 2 in the morning. The one thing I nitpick on at the moment is the heater. The heater, I'm not sure the calibration's quite right, and you've got to really pump it up to get any heat out of it. Of course, it is a heat pump, so nice and efficient, and I didn't notice any great degradation of range by using it. But hard to tell too, because the BYD doesn't just like throw your range the second you turn the heater on like some other electric vehicles do. But yeah, look, it's so far going really well. Now, I'm going to head into town. I've actually been charging overnight. There's a 16 amp charger here at the hotel. So I've been topping on that. I suspect I'm going to have about half a battery. I'm going to pop into town, jump on the hypercharger there, thank you ChargeNet, and top up to a little higher. And then I'm going to head south. I haven't entirely worked out exactly what my route's going to be yet, probably just straight down the middle. But I've got someone I'm hopefully going to visit in Palmerston North as we head down the country. Right, now before anyone judges me for using a Tesla charger, that's a PHEV parking in a Tesla charger park, well, plugged in to their granny cable that's running into a splitter box, a power strip. And it was 2:30 in the morning. There was no one here. I wasn't blocking anyone. Right. Let's get on the road. Right, so we are here now at the ChargeNet hypercharger in Taupo. Again, love your work, ChargeNet. I just want to top up the car here for our big trip today. Be interesting to see whether we get the range that we did yesterday. I suspect we might do a little bit better because it's going to be warmer, though we do have to get over that rather large central hump. There you go, we're all plugged in there. Now I'm very lazy, I don't have a ChargeNet fob on me, but of course, as always, I can do it with the ChargeNet app. So here we are in number 2. We're gonna activate, yes. Now, flick around, it's already up, 52% state of charge. Let's see what we get straight away. I don't think we're gonna get the huge number we got last night. We're not going to get nearly 90 because we are full and the battery is cold, but let's just see. Takes a second. What are we at? Yeah, there we go. But look, oh no, okay, so I was wrong. Straight on up, look at that. We're off. Not quite at the full height, but you know, as I said, the battery is cold, and yeah, that's still a pretty good rate, and it's still rising a little. So let's see how long it rides at 75 kilowatts. I will update you when we know a little bit more, and yeah, I'm gonna probably watch this for a minute and then duck around and find myself a coffee. Good little hypercharging session there. I was surprised that it jumped up to kind of full speed straight away. It didn't stay there hugely long, but still we crept back up to about 60 and then kind of dropped down to 50, and then in the 80s we were dropping down to about 35. So look, it's not a Tesla, but it's certainly better than other stuff in that price range. If you're jumping from a Leaf, you're going to think this thing charges like light speed. If you're jumping from an MG, you're going to go, wow, this is like twice as fast to charge. If you're jumping from a Tesla, then okay, sure, yeah, not perfect, but pretty darn good. And I think it's been a real sign of how BYD is treating this launch, and that all their claims around charging, the car does better than what they claim. So yeah, it's really cool. And this is coming from the units. I actually suspect the car may be slightly over-claiming its charging speeds inside the car, but the units themselves are backing them up with pretty darn close numbers. And I wonder whether that's a combination of HVAC, draw, that kind of stuff. So we have left the hypercharger. We're at 88%. We are showing 426 kilometers on the range meter, and we have about 240k to run to our next destination. But we do have to get over, and I'm not sure if you can see it behind me, those giant mountains in the background. So we've got quite the rise. I think we're going to go up to well over 1,000 meters from 397 here down at Lake Taupo. So that is going to hit the consumption. The consumption for the car overall at the moment is sitting just under 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. For the trip itself, we're sitting a little above. So that gives us, a range of 300 on a full charge, but we are talking some fairly, extreme conditions in regards to getting range out of a car. And it's going to be interesting to see when we get back into the real world and do more of a real world at-home review, what the actual day-to-day is. I think it's going to be about 15, 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which will give us that, that 350 to 400k range that I think the car should sit at. But so far, I'm thinking 300 is a fairly solid offering for the open road. And in New Zealand, with the amount of charging we've got, that'll get you anywhere. That covers off every single charging gap in the country. Right, so mini update. We are on the outskirts of Palmerston North at my uncle's house. Now, if you were watching any of the BYD live streams, you would have known we discussed Uncle Rob, who was getting one of the first customer cars in the country. That's this uncle. He's got a pretty cool place here. He's got a train line that runs around. I might have a look at that afterwards. But I really just popped in so he could have a look at the car because he's ordered one. It arrives next week, but because he had a bit of a health issue, he hasn't actually gone and seen one in person. So we'll give him a bit of a look around. And then we'll head back north again. I want to kind of eventually get home tomorrow. I got some meetings and stuff to go to. But a little bit of an update. So we've done about 240 kilometres from Taupo up over that middle jump. And the range, we still have 105 kilometres to go, 22%. If we go over to the big screen and go to the car and new energy, we're now at 18.2 over the total 780 odd kilometres, or 730 on this trip, on the trip since we've got the car. And there's the energy curve. So of course that's come down over the last 100 kilometres because we've been coming down the hill. So yeah, that's 14.1 over I think the last 50 kilometres. So yeah, the BYD is still going well. The efficiency is starting to come through now, I think. We had the really cold weather, we've had the big climb, but we're now seeing what it can do. Right, so there's the famous Uncle Rob, who's I think rather happy with his purchase and what he's got coming in the next week or two. Yeah, certainly am. But of course, there's his Leaf that's replacing the BYD is going to replace to an extent. But he's actually got another EV here that I thought was really interesting. It's this, which is actually an electric train. I mentioned before he has a bit of a track that runs around his property. There it is going around the back there and over some water features off in the distance there if you can see. But yeah, that's his electric train. Pretty cool to have in your backyard. Some batteries in there. Take the kids for a run. So that's kind of 3 EVs he has there. So yeah, that's it from here. Maybe one day I'll come back and drive that little electric train, but I'm going to turn tail now. I'm going to pop to Fielding, which is about 7 minutes away in charge, and then we're going to turn around and head back up to Auckland. So yeah, catch you on the road. Okay, just for the nerds this one, and for the road warriors, totally stumbled across this because I forgot my charger and I figured I'd try and plug my laptop into the USB-C port in the front. This thing runs at 60 watts. So that essentially I think it's got a USB PD equivalent charger in there. You can charge your laptop or super fast charge anything from this car. The only issue I suspect that I've had, and I haven't fully tested this yet, is I think that PowerPoint is not data carrying. So if you want to plug your phone in for data, it's still actually a USB type A, but you have this super high power USB-C port there. I don't know why you'd do that. It's crazy awesome. I no longer have to take my chargers on road trips. Beautiful. Right, so we are here in Fielding at the ChargeNet charger over there, ChargeNet PowerCo. We have got 90% left, 90 kilometres. So we've done about 250 on that last run from like 85 down to 19. So again, just, yeah, really good efficiency on this car, getting along really well. If I go over to our numbers now, into the new energy page, getting used to this by now, and the energy list, 788 kilometers, 18.2 kilowatt hours, and our energy curve, 15.5 over the last 50 kilometers. That's because we're down on the flatlands now. It's cold but not too cold, and yeah, the car is really kind of coming into its own. I'm going to grab a charge here, head inside to the New World, which is super handy, and grab some snacks, and yeah, get ready to carry on. I'm just going to charge enough here to get me to Taupo. I'm going to sit down and do some calculations after this and work out what that's going to need, and yeah, kind of hop my way back up the country. I haven't decided where I'm stopping for the night, and aim to be in Auckland tomorrow morning. Just before I duck inside, I thought I'd just quickly have a look and see how well the charger, the BYD chargers on the 50 kilowatt V-fills that kind of make up the core of New Zealand's charging network. The answer is pretty good. Generally, I find most cars reliably run in the low 40s, particularly the MGs and the Minis and the smaller battery stuff. Sometimes you get a little bit higher. Sometimes once they're warmed up, they'll ramp up to closer to 50. Well, the BYD straight off 48.5, 48.6. So pretty much as good as you're going to get. Yeah, it's saying an hour to full on this charger. So that's, again, just a pretty good time. I've been so impressed, if nothing else, how well this BYD charges. We are on now what I'm hoping might be, but I can't guarantee, one last stop. We have arrived here from the last stop was in Waiouru with about 27% remaining on the battery. The GOM is reading high. So the GOM was reading when we arrived still 110 odd kilometres. I don't believe it. I mean, if you follow a lot of what the GOM says, I think the car theory, that it's still trying to work out why the car isn't doing its like maximum made in China, cruising around at 30 kilometre an hour rate, and I'm sure that'll settle down with time. If not, I hope it's something they can fix with a update at some point. We have the run through to Auckland to do next. I'm hoping. I'm just gonna check the distance, but I think it's about 230 odd k to the Bombays, or at least that's what it was on the way down. So if I go to there to my hotel in Newmarket, we are looking at 272 kilometres. Now, that should be doable if we fill the car up pretty darn close to full, which according to the system here is saying 47 minutes. We won't go quite to 100, so it'll be a bit less than that. And of course, it's going to be easier because we're kind of going downhill on the way down. We've got a 700 odd metre lump to get over on the way out of here, but we're already 400 something metres in the air. So theoretically, we're going from fairly high up down to sea level overall on the trip. So it should be good, but it just depends on what the winds we get further into the Waikato. It depends on what the traffic closures are like on the motorways, which have been terrible lately. So we'll see. I'm 90 to 100% sure I can get to Bombay quite easily. I'm pretty darn sure that provided I get this up over 90%, I can get all the way to Auckland. But I guess, we just got to try. Apparently we're putting just short of 90 kilowatts in the car, which, considering this is a car that is sold on the basis that it can charge at 80 kilowatts, it's pretty darn cool. Right, welcome back. We got back to our base up here in Mangawhai, and I'm running through the numbers on this drive. So we did about 1,400 kilometres, just short. So that's from Auckland to Mangawhai, all the way into Palmerston North, and then back up from Palmerston North via a stop in the city for the night, and a few meetings and the odd little side trip in there. To do that, we used, and just going over to my chart here, 275 kilowatts of energy, give or take. Now, 205 kilowatts of that was from DC fast charging, and then the rest was from that the car came with a full tank of 60 kilowatt hours, and then we grabbed a little bit overnight on the Tesla charger, as you saw at the venue, and then I've discounted a little bit because we actually came back with over a third of a battery. So that figure there is really just giving it's pretty darn close, but a rough estimation of our energy use. So if we break that down, that means that our average consumption over the trip for what was quite an aggressive trip, we used air conditioning heating the whole time. I'm a big guy and I had some luggage on board. and we did 110k down the freeways that you can, or the motorways you can use through Waikato now, up over the top of a mountain, then back up over the top of a mountain, an average of 90.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is, I think, for a vehicle like this, a pretty good figure. And it gets you a little bit over that 300k mark for the open road, and that's going to be competitive with a whole lot of other cars in this price range. It's significantly ahead of things like the open road capability of the MGZS and the smaller batteried Hyundai Konas, well behind the big one, but that's also a far more expensive vehicle. To give you an idea of cost, we spent $125.17 on charging. The hotel charging was free, really. I know you've got to pay for the hotel, but they don't charge you extra for that. And of course, the car came with the first charge, but normally you'd be charging at home for that first charge, so it would be in comparison cents on the dollar. If we were on one of these new plans now that are out there from, I think, Genesis, where you can charge at your home rate, this thing would be way cheaper. If you took a little bit of a longer trip and were charging at your mate's house or something on the way, cheaper again. We spent 4.5 hours exactly on DC charges. Again, discount that a little bit. We probably overcharged towards the end of the trip. But when you consider, we're talking about, I think, 16, 17 hours of driving itself there. It's not massive. And I have a bit of a policy of trying to charge when I eat or when I shop. When we charged in Fielding, I went and did some shopping for some snacks for the trip home. In Taupo, I went and visited some people and grabbed some food and some coffee. Usually I need coffee before the car does, and there were plenty of stops where we weren't charging because I needed to refuel or needed to rest. That open road range is actually not that different to what we've discovered in another test we've done with the car a little more locally in recent days, where we found that a mix of urban and open road, it did, if I look at the numbers here, 17.4 kilowatt hours per 100k. So yeah, well within target, not a huge growth considering we're out on the open road. So look, thank you all for watching. I know this was a bit of a rough video, but we literally did it at the drop of a hat immediately after picking up the car. I hope you got some insights. I think just this car is such a fantastic road trip car as far as EVs go. Fantastic car overall. There are a few bugs out there that need to be fixed with software. I think there's a few things around the aircon system and around the software. Can't wait for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to come along. But overall, it is a very, very good vehicle. And we're feeling pretty comfortable with our decision to maybe have this car hang around a little bit longer at the EVs and Beyond office. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like down the bottom. Do comment if you're watching the premiere. We will be there answering questions. And we'll see you all for the next video really soon.